After a long negotiation, Cody Bellinger is headed back to the Yankees. Welcome into an emergency edition of Fantasy Baseball Today on Wednesday, January 21st. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Chris Towers. Cody Bellinger is going back to the Yankees on a 5-year, $162.5 million deal that includes opt-outs after years 2 and 3, plus a $20 million signing bonus and a full no-trade clause. Chris, this is not terribly shocking news. We know there was negotiating back and forth. Scott Boras and Bellinger wanted 7 years. That offer was just never out there and ultimately winds up back with the Yankees. And this always felt like the best landing spot for Cody Bellinger's fantasy value.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw it last year. He dramatically outperformed his expected stats in a way that felt more sustainable than when he did it with the Cubs. Playing at Yankee Stadium, obviously, for a left-handed pull hitter is a very, very good place to be. Cody Bellinger is no longer an elite power hitter in terms of the quality of contact he generates, but he has become a very good contact hitter who has good bat control, hits the ball to the pull side in the air consistently. Last season, a second highest of his career, 24.7%. I don't think you necessarily expect 29 homers from him again, and there have been enough nagging injuries over the past few years that, expecting 152 games again is probably not a safe assumption. But now that he's back with the Yankees, I think that secures the floor for Cody Bellinger. It's a very good lineup. Remember, for all the hand-wringing about the Yankees, they led the majors in runs last year, I'm pretty sure. So, I don't think they'll be the best offense in baseball, but I think they'll be very good. And so, Cody Bellinger, 85 runs, 90 RBI, 25 plus home runs, a handful of steals. That all feels pretty good. This is the best possible landing spot for him. We can get into what it means for the Yankees that, oh my God, we really need to re-sign Cody Bellinger was like the linchpin of their entire offseason. But it's a good signing. I don't necessarily want to be the team paying him for the next 5 years, $162 million, but they didn't really have another option.
Yeah, this is going to sound very black and white. It's either going to work or it's not. And if it works, he's going to opt out after year 2 or year 3. And if it doesn't work very well, then he's just going to be here for the next 5 years. So it's a very black and white way of thinking. I totally get that. But the swing, tailor-made for Yankee Stadium. You pointed this out. Great numbers at home last season. He hit .302 with a .909 OPS. 18 of his 29 home runs came in Yankee Stadium. He wound up hitting 30 total if you include the postseason. If he played all of his games just in Yankee Stadium, according to StatCast, that would have been 33 home runs. So again, the swing is just perfect for playing his home games in that venue. If we look at the NFBC ADP in the month of January, it's 80.3 for Bellinger, going just behind Jackson Merrill, Riley Green, Jarren Duran, Byron Buxton. Now that we know for sure that Bellinger is back with the Yankees, I could see ranking him as high as 12 or 13 in the outfield. Definitely in a points league just because he makes so much contact. He averaged 3.3 fantasy points per game last season. But Chris, what about in roto or categories? Can you see yourself ranking or drafting Bellinger ahead of any of Jackson Merrill, Riley Green, Jarren Duran, Byron Buxton?
I already have him ranked ahead of Jarren Duran, but I'm a little lower on Jarren Duran. So that the 4 guys ahead of him, because I think we all kind of agree there's probably a tier of 8, a tier of 2, and then after that, it really opens up after the top 10 for me. So the 4 ahead of him, I've got Cody Bellinger 15th in Roto, Brent Rooker, Jackson Merrill, Wyatt Langford, Roman Anthony. I could see moving him up ahead of any of them. I don't think I'm going to move him up ahead of any of them, though, because I have been just assuming he was going to return to the Yankees. It always made too much sense. But, look, he's 1 spot behind Brent Rooker in the overall rankings. If you want to move Cody Bellinger ahead of Brent Rooker, I think that's perfectly reasonable, too. But, Anthony, Langford, and Merrill, I just have a little more belief in chasing the upside with those 3 than with Cody Bellinger. But I think it's the right range. I have him It's right around 65 for me, so I have him ahead of ADP already.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see that ADP move up a little bit for whatever reason. We see this a lot with NFBC ADP. Once a player signs, we know where they're playing, and in Bellinger's case, where it's a really, really good place for him to be playing, I think that ADP is going to climb and probably get closer to where you have him overall, Chris. I think probably somewhere in that like 65 to 75 range is where we will see Bellinger go in a lot of drafts. Brent Rooker going up around 50. I mean, that is really surprisingly high, I think, for Brent Rooker. I like the player. I think he's totally fine. I buy what he's done so far, but that does feel like a pretty high price tag for Rooker. But I think Bellinger versus Merrill, Riley Green, Duran is a decision many people are going to have to take. Right now, I would still take Roman Anthony ahead of him. I think I would take Bellinger ahead of Merrill and Duran, but it's splitting hairs, and it comes down to like what kind of skill set you want. If you want a little bit more power, I can see going Bellinger. If you want more speed, Duran. Maybe batting average, you go with Merrill. So it's just really choose your own adventure. What kind of outfielder do you want when building out your roster? Let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll take a look at some of the fallout for the Yankees. We'll do that right after this.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ. Streaming free anywhere you are.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball. Today, the big news, Cody Bellinger headed back to the Yankees on a 5-year deal that includes opt-outs after years 2 and 3. Taking a look at their lineup, which you pointed out, Chris, led the majors in runs scored last season, led the majors in home runs by far. They had 30 more home runs than any other team. I didn't realize that. But, if we're being realistic, you probably expect Trent Grisham to take a step back, at least one step back, maybe multiple steps back this upcoming season. But we're expecting big things from Ben Rice. So I think overall the lineup does look pretty good here. Bellinger will slide in right in the middle of that lineup. The fallout is what happens with Jason Dominguez, right? There's not really a spot for him to play right now. It's good insurance if Trent Grisham does take that step back. You could play Bellinger in center. You could always, put Dominguez back in left field. But he was a terrible defender. Maybe they can look to move someone like Stanton, but we haven't heard anything of that. I mean, this is pure speculation on my part. So right now, Dominguez is on the outside looking in. It's really kind of hard to draft him expecting everyday playing time right now.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen a couple of people respond to this signing with some equivalent of Jason Dominguez. It's time to learn Milwaukee Brewers, buddy.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, can you trade him for 1 year of Peralta? I mean, I guess you can, but
here's my question: if you're the Brewers, are you trading Freddie Peralta for 1 year of Jason Dominguez?
But it's not
right now.
It's not 1 year of Dominguez.
No. Right. But are you trading Freddie Peralta for Jason Dominguez right now?
I would do that in a heartbeat if I was the Brewers. Just knowing the way that they operate, you have him for so much control, and I still do believe he has a lot of upside. He's a terrible defender, but maybe like the Brewers could coach that up.
I mean, that's the thing about Dominguez, though, is, I was reading some scouting reports from like 2023, 2024, just to see how much things have changed. And there had already been, I think, there was this perception of Jason Dominguez from when he was 16 that kind of stuck in people's minds, the Martian and all that. But if you actually read the updated scouting reports, it was like, well, we're not sure he's going to stick in center, but he should be a plus corner outfielder, and the power's not really there, and he's no longer a plus runner. And like, there's a reason Jason Dominguez was more like a top 50, top 70 prospect than, the super hyped guy that he was originally. And I don't know, man. It's concerning for the Yankees that their most hyped prospects of the past 5 years have just kind of completely flopped as major leaguers and have had these huge identity crises like Anthony Volpe and Jason Dominguez. But I don't know. I don't think you can move forward with Dominguez as part of your plans right now. I think he's a contingency, and he's a contingency with still some upside, but I don't think the Yankees could go into this season after what Jason Dominguez did last year and say, that guy's a centerpiece of our lineup. But if he has a good spring, if he hits well in the opportunities that he gets, there will be opportunities here. Whether it's the inevitable Giancarlo Stanton IL stint, or, I mean, look, last year Giancarlo Stanton reported to spring training and was like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to play for 4 months. So we have no idea.
My elbows are busted. What
Yeah,
do I do?
there might be an everyday opportunity for Jason Dominguez as soon as they get to spring training. We have no idea. Or Trent Grisham gets off to a bad start and they just can't justify keeping him in the lineup. Or Aaron Judge's injury issues come back. Or Cody Bellinger has missed a decent amount of time over the past couple years. There will be opportunities for Jason Dominguez. It's just a question of, will he be ready for them? And I think the way he played last season, especially defensively, they just could not afford to go into the season relying on him.
Yeah. And I totally get all of that. I guess I'll put on my Yankee hat, metaphorically speaking. But at 22 years old, he hit 257, 10 homers, 23 steals, WRC plus over 100. Again, as a 22-year-old, I think there are pieces there. Like, it's not actualized. He hasn't become like the Martian and this elite player that, maybe he was once thought to be, but he was a quality hitter. He was above average.
It's the defense.
As a 22-year-old. Yeah.
And it's the defense that made it untenable. Like, if you can't be even a passable corner outfielder, you need to be a lot better than an average hitter. And he wasn't.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's totally fair. And again, from a fantasy perspective, he's a contingency, and there are ways that he could get into the lineup. But right now, he is on the outside looking in, definitively, Dominguez. He does not have a spot to play every day right now, the way that the Yankees team is set up. And then, even further, depends on who you ask. Some people don't think he's going to be a major leaguer anyway, but Spencer Jones, who's supposed to be, one of their top prospects as well, tons of strikeouts in the minors, also massive power. There's just one more name blocking him now as well. The thought was, if Bellinger did not come back, that Dominguez and Spencer Jones were kind of battling for that field job. And now there's just one more name in the mix for him to not get an opportunity. So perhaps these names are traded and they're moved somewhere else, and, they have that opportunity on another team. But right now, Dominguez and Spencer Jones on the outside looking in. But the big news, Bellinger back with the Yankees. Obviously, it's great news for his fantasy value. Going around pick 80 now, but I expect that will probably move up like 10 to 15 spots in ADP. We are going to wrap there. For Chris, I am Frank. Thanks as always for tuning into Fantasy Baseball today. Please make sure to follow and leave a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify. And we will be back again later tonight. Bye-bye.